Hello guys, welcome back at Logical as always. And today, what I said that I was going to do, I'm going to do now. So I am, and I'm going to do it in a very different format to what I was trying to expect and like trying to do. But basically, the plan right now is I'm going to do somewhat of a review kind of styled thing for Khaimera. So let me just show you here real quick. So if I pop over to this here, so it means I can bring up the main screen, right? And the main person that we're going to actually talk about today is good old KHAI. And how has this patch and the new items affected him? So this is a bit of a Khaimera review style thing, so it is. So hopefully we can sort of break down how this is going to play out. Because with the amount of fidgeting that we have done with Khaimera, it's limited in one way but stronger in another way. As says, we've done shit tons of build crafts with Khaimera, and this patch kind of really twists the knife a little bit because I remember what I've said about each individual build, so I have, right? And this is a big thing for me because what I'm going to do here real quick is sort of like, how do you describe it? It's overall quite weird, so it is, because I know how Khaimera works, and getting him into a full review style thing is kind of difficult. But as says, we're going to switch between a few things here because I do want to talk about them. So as says, I've pulled up my YouTube and I'm going to just let it fucking play. So I am, because again though, Khaimera hasn't really, he has changed in certain ways, but not in other ways. He still performs exceptionally proficient at what he does. He is still a heavy ganker. The problem is in patch 1.3, they did prioritize very heavily into DPS, so they did. And this made things particularly difficult in this scenario because of the way that the game's working now. Now, I've just realised that there's just a pinch of a mistake here, so there is, because what I really want to do is give you a little bit more of a full view of what I'm trying to do. So yeah, leave it with me. As says, this is my first time doing this kind of thing, so it's kind of getting my point across. But yes, whenever I look at it, right, let's just bounce back to this here real quick. Whenever I'm looking at it, we've got Khaimera. Now, Khaimera has had a myriad of builds, and all them builds still function quite well. But now there is a little bit more of a difference. So there is, because Onyxian Quiver now gives you more critical chance, which now means that Khaimera's crit viability is a lot more dangerous, so it is. With the help out there, then you get nuclear rounds, which kind of doubles back on itself now because it's now attack speed instead of power, but it still gives you ability damage, and with Khaimera's ambush, it still makes it very strong. So in terms of a crit build, his crit build viability actually increased quite a bit. And the reason why his crit build viability increased was because of Solaris. It now no longer scales off of your crit chance. Now this means that a crit amp build is now even more viable on Khaimera for a combination of things. We now have Onyxian Quiver, which immediately gives you more crit chance. More attack speed, but it is what it is. Technically speaking, you can run Ashbringer. Terminus is still strong. Lightning Hawk if you want more burst. Tainted Rounds if you're looking to deal with healing. Again, I am still of the opinion, sorry, but Vank is okay. It's not a mandatory item. What is a mandatory item is the likes of Solaris, Viper, Imperator, and Demolisher, especially with the prevalence of high tank enemies. But the big ones that you really do want is the likes of Terminus. So it is the reason why Terminus or an Onyxian Quiver, because you need that lifesteal. If you're going to be running a crit amp style build involving these items, you're going to lack durability, which now means that in the current high DPS setting that we have, this means that this build is going to do one of two things. It is either going to blow up your opponent, or you're going to get blown up. And that there's the high risk, high reward situation. But with the prevalence of tanks, it becomes disruptive. Now, on the other hand, though, if we do cycle over into the tankier side of builds, now, realistically speaking, you're never going to build Khaimera full tank. Just saying, you're never genuinely going to build them full tanks, so you're not. But what it does allow you to do is flex into other items. The biggest item that from this entire category, that there's actually 2 items in here that Khaimera thoroughly enjoys. Technically 3 items, but I said, do you know something? I'm talking out of my ass actually. Khaimera actually enjoys every single one of these items, right? Apart from this one, probably Flux Matrix doesn't actually work for him. But a catalytic drive does work. The only problem is it doesn't work on jungle minions. So this means that this can't be built in jungle. Now, as far as I'm aware, it says minions. It could be tested, but I'm nearly sure that this does not actually work in jungle. But it's possible to work. It's possible to try it out, because never know, it could actually work. And this item pretty damn strong, to be fair. This item's pretty fucking nutty, right? Then he will make great use of Fire Blossom, because you are going to be building Khaimera tanky most times. Unbroken Will, immediately going to be good on him. Alafrost, good on a health amp build. Fist of Razul, good on a health amp build. Good for whenever you jump into a fight and use your ultimate. Tainted Bastion if you're dealing with mages. Stone Wall if you're dealing with ADCs. Especially nowadays, whenever, with the way that things are, this item right here is going to prove its worth in the long run for Khaimera. Tainted Guard, personally, yes, it's a good item. As says, I've now, from recent matches that I've played, Tainted Guard is going to be much more needed, because they are building more lifesteal, more sustain, and Tainted Guard will help at being able to keep you alive and stop them from healing. So it's a very good item to have. Void Helm does the complete opposite. Khaimera, with the amount of sustained healing that he has, you ain't going to get through Void Helm unless they are going to bombshell you with a lot of tainted effects. There's very little that they're going to be able to counteract against Void Helm. Crystalline Cuirass, not so much. I don't believe it's as needed, because that means that you're going to be giving up either your Tainted Bastion or your Void Helm for your magical defense. So personally, I don't believe it's needed. Frostguard is going to be one of the strongest items in this. See, I'm not even going to lie. Frostguard is going to be one of the strongest items in this patch. With the DPS going through the roof, Frostguard, I mark my words, Frostguard will be the most important item this patch. I will put money on it. So it will. Remnant of Renewal, again, Khaimera works with this because gain 5 additional base health regen. Stack that with his already health regen, plus while out of combat health regen. You know what I mean? And it gives you 600 health, base health regen, and ability haste. You can't really go wrong with this. And then an item that I, oddly enough, didn't really sort of catch on to. But again, it's going to be a not item that's going to prove its worth. Because of the high DPS meta, especially with carries being as busted as they are now, this is going to be a big one. 70 physical armor, which is nuts, on 300 health. Good, not the best. But it's the fact that you take 15% less damage from critical strikes, and then nearby enemy heroes have their physical power reduced by 8%. This is a biggie. So it is. Let me just be very clear. This is a biggie. These are going to be the big items. If you are up against a very unruly carry, Warden's Faith. If you're up against a really unruly mage, Void Helm. If you are up against somebody who loves to go Frostguard. There are so many things that you're going to need going into this new patch. So there is. And Khaimera does make great use of every last one of them. He is a sustain fighter. He is not a burst fighter, unless you build him a burst fighter. But he is a sustain fighter. Moving along, then you have the warrior setup. Now, personally speaking, I don't believe the warrior setup is as good. Right? Yes, it has the likes of Gaia's Greaves. Realistically, whenever you're building Khaimera going forward, you're going to be flexing. So you're going to be going between tank items and fighter items, because Khaimera makes great use of a lot of these items. So it does. Sorry, I'm constantly looking at the wrong screen. I'm meant to be looking at you guys, so I am. But this is where the big thing comes in, right? Is the fact that it comes with Gaia's Greaves, Overlord, Draconium. Draconium being pretty much the baseline for Khaimera. Draconium's the big one, so it is. Their physical and like the fighters' physical and magical items aren't like for defense purposes aren't as great. Like as says, your three main defensive items are these three here. Hang on, oh sorry, and this one here because there's two physicals, two magicals. As says, Draconium's going to be your pickup. Your magical options aren't as great in my opinion, right? So again, from the fighter tree, you're going to be looking at Overlord, Draconium. I've done testing with Rapture, and I feel like it's underperforming, but then that could just be me not doing what I need to be doing. It's either that or it just needs an absurd amount of health to get going. Berserker's Axe is always going to be a good pick on Khaimera no matter which way you want to swing it. Salvation's the same, Augmentation's the same. The new Basilisk, I personally find is going to be redundant on Khaimera because yes, you gain 5% movement speed to run them down, but that's what your ambush is for. Like that's the thing is that's what your ambush is for. So you're going to be ambushing on repeat anyway. So you are. So this to me, not as great. Right? Tyranny has potential. Do I believe it's going to do anything for Khaimera? It can with that additional 20 ability haste, but I don't believe it's going to be too apprehensive. As it says, the 30% decaying movement speed means that you can literally chase people down. So it is another way to look at it. Tainted Blades, obviously, for your anti-heal, and Mutilator, you're never going to pick up. For your Assassins, now this is where good flexibility comes in because personally, you never want to build a pure assassin-related Khaimera. Now, from my testing, yes, a pure assassin works, but you are exceptionally goddamn squishy. Just remember that. You are exceptionally squishy, so you are. Right? Now, taking that into account, Melody's always going to be a good item. Mesmer, if there is an abundance of CC effects going around. Cloak, meh. Dread, if you really are dealing with magical pain in the asses. Nightfall is redundant. You've got Draconium. Tainted Trident is redundant. You've got Tainted Blade. The Spear of Desolation, however, makes you a monster because on casting your ultimate, you then deal 7% increased damage for 6 seconds. You will tear your way through anybody. If they survive your ult, you're going to tear them apart. This is one of the most powerful items that has been recently introduced, and it is terrifying because it's good on Sparrow. It's good on just about everybody that has an in-fight ult. So it is. Demon's Edge is redundant. Infernum, you're never going to look at. Mind Razor, you're never going to look at. Omen's still a fantastic item. Envy's still a fantastic item. Psionic Echo has potential, so it does. Because the reason why it has potential is your next two basic attacks gain 45% attack speed, but then it kind of makes it redundant because you have your Unleash. So it's kind of one of those little, it's one of those little weird little sort of situations. Penumbra? Is that how that's spelled? Penumbra? Meh. Painweaver, good item. Deathstalker, good item. Perforator, good item. All these items fit. But if I have to be specific, and I do really have to be careful with what I say so that my information is mostly correct. But from what I have been playing in 1.3, Khaimera is exceptionally squishy. So he is. I have looked over the items, I've tested him a bit, I've played him a bit, we've played 2 videos with him. First match, we horribly fucked up. I was useless in that match. The second match we played, with the amount of health that I got, I was unkillable. Khaimera is now... His health regen is no longer his biggest selling factor now. That's the thing. Now you are forced to build into defense. You can't just build him tank. Or you can't just build him like a glass cannon anymore. He will just die. He is an all or nothing hero. It's as simple as that there. He has no get out of jail free card. So if you are going to be playing Khaimera, you're going to have to build him tanky, so you are. And tankier than normal. Oddly enough, what item am I using here? What build is this? Oh, Maximus. is the build. So it is, and he was using Lightning Hawk. I was wondering there for a second. I was like, what build am I running here? But no, that's the big thing that I do have to bring up now is the fact that with the way that everything is in the game, version 1.3, I do believe Khaimera has now. Personally, I now believe Khaimera has dropped off a little bit. I do believe he is no longer the king of jungle. He's not an S tier pick, but I would give him a high A tier pick. So I would. He is not as strong as he used to be until somebody finds a way to break him. But currently, with the issue with the DPS meta, I do believe that building him slightly tankier and slightly more focused around team fighting instead of one-on-one fights or just literally just ambushing. It'll take a bit of time for him to find his rhythm in this patch, but as it sits right now, he is still a strong enough contender that I would give him. I wouldn't. It's gonna sound horrible, but I'm gonna have to give him a low A tier sort of rating. So I am. So in terms of tier listing, he's still a solid pick. I'd give him a low A. He's never gonna snowball as hard as he does in the past because again, with this weird meta that we're in, where just DPS is king, Khaimera's going to get blown up before he can do anything. And that makes him a high risk, high reward kind of player. But it says, because another thing that I do still need, another thing that I do still need to take into consideration is his ability to secure objectives. He is still the undefeated objective secure. So he is. He is still the uh, undefeated at securing objectives. It's as simple as that, guys. So yeah, I'll leave you with that there. That there is my Khaimera review on the current patch. So it is. I will give you any updates if anything goes different, and I will try and do the same for each of the other characters. So I will, because as says there still needs to be a level of testing. As says, I am partially just a little bit too scared to try them out on any of the high crit end builds. But fuck it, I might try it just for the shits and giggles, guys. Because hey, what's life without a little bit of fun? So guys, I hope you all enjoyed. Please like, share, and subscribe if you didn't enjoy. And remember, guys, not everything is to plan. Bye!